Hello, my name's Larry Hussey, and my channel here is Drug Force and Consumer News. My blue sky is Larry Hussey, and if you want details on a lot of the stuff I talk about, you can go there, Blue Sky Social. So let's start out with Drug Force News. I like to try to have Drug Force News whenever I make a video, and I only make a video when I think I can help someone somehow. If I can help one person, I'm making the video. All right, so I was watching Olympic related sports on NBC, of course, and the lead up to the Olympics. And I was excited because there is a brand in Japan that sponsors Japan snowboarding, and it's called Yonex, Yonex. And so that makes me feel good about having a character named Yo Next with a T at the end. First name Yo, second name Next. And by the way, everyone in the drug force has a call sign, okay, like Maverick on Top Gun, right? Okay. So there's Yo Next, there's Born Fourth, there's Rosemead is the female character that I have so far, and there's Ripstop, and there is Edge Crush. And those are some of the characters that I have. And those are all intended to be call signs. Evidently, the real military does not use call signs anymore, which that is good because that means when I use them, it's fiction. Yay. That means when I use call sign characters, it's fiction. And when I call someone Yo Next, it's a call sign and it's only one letter off of a brand of badminton and snowboarding equipment and pickleball and running and other athletics, which is Yo Next, which is Yonex. So hello to Yo Next Company. Thank you for sponsoring your Olympic athletes. How about that? Okay, cool. So I feel good about naming a character Yo Next, and I feel good about having call signs because the military doesn't have call signs. So that's the summary of that. Now, while I'm doing one report, I'm going to. This is the wine that Total Wine has right by their door, obviously to promote for New Year's Eve. I don't know how to pronounce the name. I think it's RICHEBEL. I think RICHEBEL maybe. On the back, it said it is elaborated by Sora V. Elaborated. So I found out that that's in French translation. That's kind of like blended, like here blended. It's a blended wine. So it's blended by Sora V. Anyway, I want to talk to you about Employbridge temp agency. I used to want to be a temp, and I used to work temp jobs, and I used to want to be a temp, and I wanted to string together temp jobs so that I could make a living at it. Okay, because you learn a lot doing one temp job after another. I now know a lot. So, but what I found out was that Employbridge has so many different agencies that I was going from one Employbridge agency to another Employbridge agency to another Employbridge agency, and maybe one that's not owned by them, and then back to maybe one owned by them. And so I just grouped them all. It's like I work for Employbridge, and they didn't tell me that, for one thing. That's one thing that's wrong. And what they do is they have way too many agencies. They should just have one agency called Employbridge, maybe two. But I looked up on Gemini here. Employbridge employees, get it, employees, franchises versus corporate, because they own franchises that collect franchise fees, and then they have corporate ones that actually compete with the franchises. So and this whole thing is actually owned by an investment bank called Apollo Group. Okay, so Employbridge is owned by an investment bank called Apollo Group. Apollo Group Management is the Apollo Global Management is the whole thing. Apollo Global Management is who owns it. according to Gemini. And so Apollo Global Management is really treating workers fairly poorly because I was hoping to go from one temp job to another and just call my agent, go, what's my next job? When does it start? But I couldn't because Employbridge has 2 different franchises, and one of them is Remedy Intelligent Staffing, and another is West Staff, which only has 75 franchises. So those are the ones where they franchise employee things out to some other local owner. But then they own corporate brands that compete with those franchises. The corporate brands, and they have at least 6 corporate brands. Okay. The corporate brands are Resource MFG, Pro Logistics, Pro Drivers, Select Staffing, REMX, Higher Dynamics, and Blue Crew. See, there's 7. Higher Dynamics and Blue Crew are 2 different ones. There's 7. I used to work for REMX, and I wanted to go from one temp job to another at REMX. And evidently that's a corporate-owned one, but that office still went out of business. And so they are opening way too many corporate offices with 7 specialty divisions. I guess they're called specialty divisions. And then those specialty divisions are franchise owned, are competing with franchises such as Remedy Intelligent Staffing and West Staff. So those things are competing with their corporate ones. So you franchise from Employbridge, and Apollo Global Management owns Employbridge, remember? And then so you're competing for workers with the corporate labels, and there's way too many corporate labels. So the corporate labels I'm sure they're not supposed to compete with each other, but they sure don't communicate, because when I worked for MX, they didn't say, hey, we have a sister company called Select Staffing, and so we're going to hook you up with them. They never did that. So I can tell you from the inside working here, these corporate agencies don't tell you, hey, I have 6 and counting sister agencies. They're all corporate. They're all owned by the same company, Apollo Global Management. And if you want me to hook you up with a job over there, I will hook you up with a job with Select Staffing or Pro Logistics or whatever, or Higher Dynamics, and I will hook you up with a job through them, because they are a sister corporate agency to this corporate agency. And they don't tell you that, and they don't tell you that Remedy Intelligent Staffing and West Staff are actually competing with the corporate labels, because they are franchises. And I know for a fact that Employbridge doesn't care about franchising a franchise right overlapping area with 7 different agency labels of their own. So you franchise from them, you're paying them money, and they're giving you stuff for that. However, they own 7 corporate agencies that are competing with you, and they own them, and they are competing with you. So since this is what Total Wine is pushing for, it's I got it for less than $10, let's just say. And so you always need a towel to open this kind of thing, and you always point it away, okay? Always point it away. This is New Year's Eve review, okay? Always point it away, okay? Point it away from yourself. You don't want to poke an eye out, all right? Seriously, okay? There we go. That's what it does. It's doing it, okay? This was in the refrigerator, okay? If this was not out of the refrigerator, it would be bubbling all over, okay? But it's always refrigerate it before you open it, unless you want to lose wine that you paid for. I'm getting a little dry throated here, and this isn't really going to help, but okay, I expected this to be sweet, and it is, but it's not Kool-Aid. This is a blended ice rosé They also have a white wine. It's good. It's nice and sweet. Happy New Year. Your 10-minute break is over.